Welcome back. Season 1, Episode 8 of The Cast. It's the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club podcast. Matt Collins, you got Bonnie Romero, Alex Rojas, and our John Martin champ from Multi, Branden Maytum. Welcome.
Hey, hold on. Yeah, congrats on that win, man. That was awesome. That was a grind out there, obviously, right? So
yeah, it was definitely a grind.
So we had one person get a limit. Obviously, it was you.
Yep.
Right. We had how many people at that tournament? We had
34-ish or something like that.
34 people at the tournament. Yeah, and only one limit. So it was tough, man. So, I mean, tell us. I know you stayed with us the night before.
Yep.
Tell us how you rolled up there and just no pre-fishing, right?
Heck no, pre-fishing. I don't. Who has time for that, right? Just show up and fish.
How many times have you fished on Martin before?
This was my first time at John Martin.
So you didn't even know what it looked like? Did you look at maps or anything before?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at maps. I studied kind of where I wanted to go from the boat ramp, but you didn't go too far away from the boat ramp. So stayed along the edges, tried to focus on the right depth and the right speed when I was trolling. But it was a struggle in the morning, really. It was. I mean, I didn't catch a fish until literally almost noon. So that whole morning, I showed up. It was cold. I showed up later than most people too, but it was cold. Trolling forever was an issue just for me, trying to dial it in, not getting any bites. Right. It was a little breezy in the morning, but when it cleared up and went flat and the water kind of heated up, that's when things kind of turned on for the fishing, at least.
So what was your last? I know when yours was, but tell us how your day ended, because you only had 3 fish at a certain point, right?
I had 3 fish by like 12:55, I think is what my third fish, my second walleye was. And by 1:20-ish, I didn't have anything left. I'm trying to just upgrade wiper, because at that point, I think I was in 5th place or maybe 8th place, actually. And I was super happy just being in the top 10. So I was trying to just upgrade walleye, not thinking I'd catch wiper. And I was off this rock wall, a little deeper than most people, trolling the same flicker shad that I was catching the walleye on, and got a little wiper, thinking it was, I think it was white bass. But with that first one, once I got the first one, I knew that there were more around. So I kept trolling that area, and between 127 and like 150, I got the 3 that I needed. So I had less than 10 minutes to spare. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. What'd you catch them on?
Flicker shad, yellowhead or whatever. Yeah. I think I was deeper than most people, and my speed, like I was trying to vary the speed, but consistent under 2 miles an hour kind of seemed to be the ticket.
How confident were you? How confident were you?
Once I caught the first white bass, I knew there were others around, so I just started trolling back and forth that same depth. Yeah, so it worked out perfectly.
Yeah,
no
great.
Cold fish either, no cold fish. I caught the drum early on a Ned rig, and then the 2 walleye on a flicker shad, and then it was just
caught 5 fish, 6
fish.
The perfect number. The six are what I caught all day. So it was. I mean, geez, sometimes even a blind squirrel can get lucky. That's usually how it works out sometimes.
I don't know.
Fortunate to be in that spot.
That 1 year too. So out of your paddle kayak.
Yes, I did. That's a lot of work. Pedaling is way easier, especially when you're trolling.
Talk about that tournament, because you made a mistake, right?
Yes.
You remember that, right?
It was kind of the same conditions where we were below freezing when people showed up. People's rudders were freezing. It was slow morning, and then all of a sudden, just boom, fish after fish after fish. And I can't remember exactly the number. I don't think anybody caught a limit there. I might have been 1 off or on the limit. But again, it was another difficult day. And I just remember measuring one of the fish and not making it hit that line. Right. And it kind of went past the line but didn't touch it. And of course, it's my first tournament, so I didn't really know how that worked. And I didn't know that I submitted a photo that had that tail, or that tail needed to touch the line. Didn't really know. I knew that I was going to be top 3. I was super stoked to be top 3, to be honest. So even losing that second place from a quarter of an inch less was fine with me. But yeah, that was like 2 years ago at Pueblo.
Yeah, that's an important lesson for people to learn. I think Matt did the same thing.
The same thing last year.
Yeah.
I think that was my first. Yeah, I did John Martin. I think Pueblo was the next one after that, but we just did multi. But yeah, I think I took 5th, but I would have had 3rd if I would have measured my fish right. But hey, better to learn it.
Every quarter inch matters when it's close, and
absolutely.
So that was something that I learned right away, right off the first tournament. All right, not doing that again.
Yeah. So what we're talking about, so people who are listening maybe don't know, is you always talk about when you're measuring a fish to make sure that that tail is physically touching a line. There's a gap on the hog trough, on the catch boards. There's a gap between the lines on both top and the bottom.
Yep.
And if your fish tail is in the middle, even though it's obviously past the quarter inch line, we can't give it to you unless it's physically touching the line. So that's what Branden made the mistake with, and so did Matt here. So yeah, just lesson learned there. So can you get that?
Was
door?
that your first year? Sorry, the wind.
That was that ended up being my first tournament. That was my first tournament in a kayak.
2 years ago.
That 3rd place finish at Pueblo.
That was your first ever. Wow.
Yeah, in a kayak at least. Yeah, that was pretty exciting too, because it was the same kind of thing where nothing was happening in the morning, happening at all. Like people weren't catching much at all, and then it was just bam, 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 one after another. And then I'm like, shoot, I know I have a chance at this. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, sorry, we got a lot of wind coming through here. We're outside right now. I don't know where it came.
Can you hear us okay, or is it just like a windstorm on there?
No, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. So with John Martin, how confident were you going into the tournament? Were you just there just to fish it, or did you have any kind of confidence whatsoever since you had never been there? You didn't pre-fish. You showed up the night before.
If I wanted to catch if I got white bass, I knew I could probably get in a top 10, but I always go in trying to fill a limit. And those days never go to plan. You go in there and pretty soon you're like, I'm not catching crap, So I think after the first couple hours of trolling and trying different things and colors and speed, kind of slowed down. And once I kind of slowed down and the sun was out and the water looked like glass, I started getting bites on just throwing like a Ned rig. So once you get that first fish, confidence is everything. And that's kind of where I went back to, I knew I had the drum. So I'm like, all right, well, now I know I can catch walleye. At least I felt like I could. I mean, frickin' Ronnie over here is catching how many at that point? I know you probably had a dozen at that point.
Hey, so Ronnie's still, no matter where we go, catches freaking drum.
I caught a drum on a chatterbait here.
You caught a drum on a chatterbait here. Not only that, it gets better. We have a little dock we're fishing here. Every night we come and fish here. We catch like little fish and catfish and all kinds of stuff, right? Sure. What's Ronnie catch?
Caught a drum.
Nice.
We caught a
drum and walleye.
Yeah, one drum.
One drum. Right. Of course, Ronnie caught it. So he's now a little drummer. We call him Little Drummer now. But
That's funny. I saw that picture of that drum you caught at John Martin last year. That thing was huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
How heavy was that fish? You didn't weigh it, huh?
We weighed it all. I'm pretty sure it was very, very close to state record, but we don't know.
Yeah. I stopped in the tackle shop there at John Martin right before we went in. And the guy's got a picture of it's another fish. I forget what the other fish is, but then Paul Roth, right?
Yeah.
His wiper.
Yeah, Paul Roth wiper.
Yeah, like a 26-inch wiper, and then Ronnie with that big drum. And he was just like, I don't know why he didn't measure this thing. That's a state record.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, hey, dude. I like to just ask some questions to guys on the club. Like, how did you hear about CKSC, and like what made you enter tournaments?
Ronnie, right there next to you. He just asked me to join, and I had already had a kayak, and I went out fishing a bunch just by myself. I live out in Pueblo West now. At that point, I lived in Pueblo, so I was a little further away. But right now, I mean, I'm only 10 minutes away from fishing. So I'm out at that lake a bunch with the kayak, and I enjoy it. I like the workout. I love catching fish, and those two things together made it fun.
Yeah.
I've only done 11 of them in those 2 years too. So I've been fairly busy with work and everything, but I try to enter as much as possible. And every year I'm like, I want to enter every one if I can.
So what drives you to do tournaments? Are you just competitive by nature, or is it what's like the driving force for you for tournaments?
I played professional hockey for like 9 years, so I'm competitive. But I enjoy the camaraderie more, you know. I mean, that's kind of the way getting into it and learning. Like I'm a more refined fisherman because of it. You know, I grew up fly fishing and Mr. Trout guy. And then it was like, well, bass, those are fun. Walleye are great to eat. And so, you know, you learn from different people. And Kayak Club is a perfect example of guys that know how to fish and learning from everybody and asking questions and giving advice. And so it goes both ways.
Would you say you become a much, much better fisherman from fishing tournaments? Absolutely.
Yeah, the pressure's on. When the pressure's on, you know, like the smallest thing can affect you, you know. But that kind of gets the juices flowing, and then you refocus and you get a little confidence, and then that's when things change. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah. Did you have a plan going in? Like, I'm going to target this species first, or
I thought I'd hit walleye fairly quickly. You know, that was my only deal, was get on the board, don't get skunked.
Yeah, me too.
But I knew there were a lot of drums in there, and I could probably throw a little Ned rig or something at the bottom, a little jig, but I was kind of playing it by ear, really. And that's kind of what I do there, is just kind of play it by ear. I don't need to practice fishing, just show up and win tournaments. That's all I do, right?
Who needs to practice? I'm there.
You can ask Ronnie. We went ice fishing. I went ice fishing, and he showed up early. I show up late, catch a 23-inch cut bow at 11 Mile, and then have to leave because I had family stuff to get to. And he's over there fishing all day. I'm like, hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Oh, man.
So give us an embarrassing story in the kayak. We love hearing these stories, right? Anything you got?
Yeah, well, so, you know, you try to practice like getting out of your kayak and back in, you know? And I had that, like, I don't know, it was like a 10-foot Pelican, Dick's Sporting Goods special, you know, and I was trying to crawl back into it in the middle of a cove, and the water wasn't that cold, but I could not get back. And then trying to drag that thing full of water and getting it to the edge, I was like, this is a terrible idea. Should have done this in like 3 feet of water just in case.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the smartest thing you could do.
Yeah, that's scary.
Kayaks aren't that heavy, but when they're full of water, it totally changes the game.
So we're out here fishing this dock, right? And Ronnie, I tie on this bobber, this lighted bobber Ronnie buys for me to use, right? I cast it, the bobber goes, all right, go set the hook, bobber comes off because I didn't do it right. This is floating. Next day, Ronnie sets the hook or cast, and the freaking bobber goes flying off his too. So we have little sitting kayaks they have here at the Airbnb. Sure. I've never been in a kayak other than an Ascend, an Old Town,
a
Hobie. Yeah.
Right, the nice one. Right.
Like a Walmart special, you know, one of those
Walmart killers.
Put a screenshot.
It's like a kid one, yeah. We'll throw a screenshot in here of me in it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Holy shit! Holy shit! This is built for a kid. Lucky I'm tiny, man. On a bobber. So I got in it. To go get the bobber, right?
Sure.
I was really, I mean, I was like very unstable. Ronnie had to hold it for me to get into it. It was pretty funny. It's a tiny little thing. I'm a little guy and still look terrible with me in it.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Don't try standing up in those, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's pretty funny though.
That's funny.
But, yeah,
so thanks for coming on. Last question I got, I guess, is sorry, we still have a windstorm going on here, but what's your favorite place to fish? Do you do bass tournaments and multi, or?
I try to do both. Yeah,
okay.
I feel more confident in multi-species, but if I were on the banks fishing, and I'm probably catching bass before anything else, so I tend to gravitate more towards bass. But I think I'm better in a tournament in multi-species, but I enjoy both for sure.
Yeah, gotcha. I think multi is cool because you got to strategize.
Yep.
Word, but you got to have a good strategy going into it.
Absolutely.
Especially. But what's your favorite lake to fish on? Is it Pueblo since you're right there? Or?
I enjoy Pueblo, but there's a lot of smaller lakes kind of in the mountains. If I'm fly fishing, I like hiking into some of those high mountain lakes in the Sangres, to some of those untouched trout. But it's you have to make a full day of it or overnight camp to do all that. For me, Pueblo's just, literally door to water in 15 minutes. So I try to fish a lot of Pueblo as much as I can.
Awesome. That's cool. Hey, congratulations, man. You're set up great for
Hey,
AOY. You better fish all the tournaments. You better fish all the tournaments.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
You're set up great already. Mr.
Sure.
Paul Roth didn't win the first one, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, man. Good job
Hey,
out
thank
there.
you.
I mean, you're the only one, so that says something,
Yeah.
Yep.
So the only
Yeah,
limit,
don't give up.
Yeah. Only limit. You had 83 inches, no fish finder or no sonar, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no sonar.
The wire issues, it was cutting in and out. I had to hold the wire together. I used gorilla tape because it was falling off the back. So I'm gorilla taping the back of this to hold that wire close together so I can get a signal.
I swear, having some sort of issue with your rig is apparently good luck, because we'll talk to Matt here in a little bit. He has some stuff going on.
I think I would have fished. I think I would have fished
ahead.
it differently if I had sonar. So I got lucky not
Sure.
having it in that point,
Yeah. Excuse me. Got a bug. Yeah. So second place, Justin Collins, and then third place, Jeff Rising. Yeah, man. Congrats.
Yeah. Good job out there, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. We
Appreciate
appreciate you having you.
Yes,
yeah,
thank you
good
for
luck
having
the
me.
rest of the season. Can't wait to. Yeah, we'll hang out sometime soon.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Pueblo 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Pueblo in 3
see ya,
weeks.
Pueblo.
Yeah, Pueblo 3 weeks. Can't wait.
Yeah, please
Pre-fish a
pre-fish.
bunch.
Yeah. I think I might pre-fish for that one. I don't know,
All right. Thanks, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
See you, Branden.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back. We just took a little break there. Having Branden on. Big congrats to him.
Absolutely.
We are at Truman Lake. Reservoir Lake.
Truman Lake.
Missouri.
Missouri.
Missouri. We're on the Warsaw side in an Airbnb here.
Yeah, we've been here me and Matt have been here since we drove in Sunday night.
Yep.
Started fishing Monday morning bright and early.
Bright and early.
And we fished all week. We had a lot of fun.
It was awesome. It was a great trip.
Fun. Caught a lot of fish. Not the right fish, but caught a lot of fish.
Yeah. So we're here for the All American Kayak Classic. It's over. It's a qualifier tournament. So hey, if you're fishing the CKFC tournaments this year, you can qualify on the bass or multi side, and it's pretty cool. We have a team from each year. We end up having 10, and then
we take top 10 from each series.
Yep, and then if you make it, come on out. We've got a bunch of people in Airbnb here. You can stay wherever you want, but it's a good time to get together. We're having Fish Friday night.
Yeah.
Catching catfish.
Yeah, we've been catching on the water. We've been catching crappie and whatever, white bass and catfish, and then we come home, we drink, have a good time. We have a dock here.
Yep.
We've been fishing every night here with bobbers and worms and catching tons of different fish: bluegill, crappie, drum, bass, catfish. Now we're frying them up. Corey's in there right now, frying everything up first for dinner tonight.
Yep.
These kinds of trips are awesome, guys. I highly recommend these for everybody to experience this, because it's just a good time hanging out with the guys, fishing, and just telling stories. It's a blast. It really is.
Yeah, you really get to test yourself on a national stage too, which is cool. It's my first time doing it. I know you've done it a bunch, Alex, but it's really cool. It puts into perspective, where you're at, or you see where you are, and it's a good thing too.
It challenges you, because here's
challenging.
This lake is different than anywhere I've been.
It's huge. This is we go to Pueblo, or trying to think Pueblo is probably our biggest lake, right?
One of the big ones. Yeah.
So it'd be 100 Pueblos. Choose where you want to launch.
One cove here is like Pueblo. It's crazy. And then there's trees and 30 foot of water that come up to the top. Your drives are hitting them.
Yeah.
Water's dirty.
There are trees in the lakes. There are
creeks,
some grass.
Several creeks feeding the lake. Yeah, it's a good time. We have a blast out here. It challenges you. Anyways, this isn't about us. This
Yeah.
isn't about. We're here to introduce somebody else here.
Yeah, so we came down here with a bunch of us, and we had several people do really well out here. Matt Kern's joining us. Come on in, buddy. And we'll just get straight to it, man. Hold it up. Let's see how you
what
did.
You did.
No, you got it.
You got it.
First
Other way.
try, reverse there. Yeah.
There he is.
If you can't read backwards, then it's fourth place. Hey,
yeah.
Congrats, dude.
Congrats, dude. That was freaking awesome.
Representing for Colorado. We had some other people doing really well. Thought Matt Arledge was going to win yesterday. And it was just crushed for him.
Yeah, Matt was in first place after day one. It's a 2-day event. He had 89 or 90 inches, I believe it was. Yeah. Had a phenomenal day. I talked to him. Today. We text. Unfortunately, he didn't get a fifth fish. He got 4. He broke one off. He lost 2. He said they would have helped him tremendously. Unfortunately, he didn't get that done. He was pretty crushed about it. But props to him. He had a great day yesterday. Phenomenal day yesterday. Just to be in contention like that is special. Yeah. So congratulations to him. I know he's down on himself, but he shouldn't be. He had a great day.
To put it in perspective, if Matt would have caught just a 12-inch fish, which was the minimum here, it would have put him in 15th place.
Yeah, one little fish.
He would have been in the money just off of that one fish. But that's how much he dominated on the first day.
Yeah, he really killed it.
Insane. So, hey, let's not forget to mention that, because that was, he was the top dog on day one.
Yeah,
so.
We also had, I'm sorry, we're not going to take away from you, Matt, but yeah, we had Lindsay, who did really freaking awesome. She caught 5 fish from what I understand. Yeah. She caught 5 fish. Her 5th fish came with like minutes left, I believe. Yep. And that put her in the top 20, if I remember right. On day one.
Yeah, 19 or something.
Yeah, she ended up finishing in 38th place, so that's awesome for Lindsay. I mean, incredible for her too. I mean, we represented pretty well. Tim Van Slicker had a phenomenal first day. Yep. He didn't do so good today. He got a limit, but it was a small limit. I don't know what place he finished in, but it's not about any of us again. It's about this guy to our left here. He had 2 great days he put together. That's hard to do. I mean, you don't understand. Out here, we were slaying them on Wednesday, Thursday, all week, really. We caught a bunch of fish. On Thursday, me and Matt found a pattern that was, it was lights out. We caught some quality fish everywhere we went. Yep. And then on Friday, day 1 of the tournament, there was no wind, 0 wind. All week there had been some wind.
Dead calm. Yeah.
Dead calm all day yesterday. Our bite died for us. Yeah. For a lot of people, actually. And then today was windy, super windy, too windy. And so it was very challenging. I say all this because what Matt did to put 2 days together is pretty damn incredible. Yeah. When you have different conditions like that, where it's dead calm after it's been breezy, dead calm, and then all of a sudden really windy. That changes bites completely. Matt accomplished what most people couldn't accomplish. Today, people did not put it together today. Most people did not do well today. He put it together both days. So, Matt, congratulations.
Thank you.
2 top 10 days. The first day, you were 8th?
Yeah.
I saw you at 3rd there, and then, all of them came in, and then 8th place. Incredible. And then came up to 4th today.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Congrats.
So tell us about your days. Tell us how many pre-fishing days did you put in?
So I got in on Tuesday. That was my pre-fish. I bounced around to like 3 different ramps on the first day, and
had you ever been here?
No,
Okay.
not been here. Did a lot of research though. Yeah. But first couple ramps were just nothing. It was just too murky. It just didn't play right. And stumbled across a solid pattern on pre-fish, and then on Thursday went back there and just made sure they were there. Caught 1 18.5, and I'm like, I'm out of here, and started looking for new areas. Yeah, and I was just hopeful that no one came in and smashed them. Right. But it did seem to refill, and quite well. And I just found a pattern. And
how many fish do you think you caught each day?
30 on the first day, probably 25, 30 today as well. You were wading through a lot of dinks, a lot of small spots, right. and even the bigger spots, I mean, they were just fat, super fat and feeding off.
All the fish
Super
are healthy.
spots.
Oh
All the
yeah,
fish
like
are
every and
So were you worried about your pattern at all?
I was a little bit going in, but I pretty much told myself, screw it, I'm just gonna fish today. I didn't let nerves get to me or anything. I was just
good for you.
there just to fish. So whatever happened, happened. And I thought I was struggling today. Because I saw the leaderboards and I was like, you know.
So you were watching leaderboards?
Yesterday I was watching.
How about today?
Not at all. Didn't even check it once.
I've been in a scenario like that where I'm in the lead and I start fishing faster. So like I was fishing Mazinga Lake. I was in the lead all day. And once I saw that, I was hitting grass. Like every second cast I had to clean grass off my spinnerbait.
Yep.
And then for like an hour after checking it, after an hour fishing, I was like, I haven't even had to clean grass in an hour. And that's what I wasn't getting bites because I was fishing too fast. It was all in my head.
Yep.
So that's a good thing you didn't check it, right?
I was fish slow, keep the same pace, had to keep on resetting because I would catch myself doing that, fishing faster.
Right.
Had to slow down.
Right.
And that was it. It was crawling. So
you mind sharing what you, I mean, whatever you want to share, you can share, not share, whatever you want to do there. Like, what was your pattern? Did you have a backup pattern? Sorry, did I ask you already?
I did have a backup pattern. So it wasn't that good because I figured where I might pull out a little bit. And so I'd want like shade more deep, like 15 feet. Deeper than that if they pulled out. But I didn't have to go to that, thankfully. The pattern, they were shallow. They wanted timber. They wanted bigger rock. And the wind today was awful. Like
was it blowing straight into you, or
it was blowing straight into me. It was white capping, like trying to maneuver between stumps and trees and stuff. Like, I'm surprised I didn't break my pedal drive even more. So
tell us about that.
So last day of pre-fishing, I ended up on the arm of my pedal drive. I ended up shearing out the screw part, so my pedal just came straight out. So I was probably 2.5 miles away from the ramp, and so I ended up having to, hand crank with one to get back, and and it was windy and it was just awful. Like I was just done. I almost actually just said, screw it, I'm gonna head home. Like I was almost just completely done because I'm like, if they're without a motor, I'm not doing anything. So but then I went to a hardware store, bought a stainless steel bolt and a couple washers and a lock nut, and like I got a second pedal to allow me to continue on. And like most of the times I had to reach down and retighten that every single like 10 minutes, so that was helping me fish slower and everything, so I wasn't going too fast and through areas. I was just dissecting stuff, but it was
how big of a stretch were you fishing? Did you have multiple areas, or was it one stretch? Or
it was multiple stretches that I was fishing, but I mean, between it all, it would take me 3 hours to fish between all the stretches.
It's so big here, right?
It's just massive. Like this lake is.
So you didn't have to save fish. I mean, because it's so massive, you didn't really have to save.
No, fish, like if I spooked one, I marked it and was like, "Oh, I'll come back to this," because it seemed that they like certain type of cover and everything. Right. But that was just really it. So
day one you had 8375.
Yep.
And day two 8475. Talk about consistency. That's pretty solid. Especially considering, I mean, it was tough. Today was tough. With the wind. The 2 different days were. I mean, a lot of people that did well the first day didn't do well the second day.
I didn't have a big fish until probably 12:30 today. Like I was running 16s all day, and couldn't get past it. And
That didn't get in your head? That didn't spin you out at all?
it did.
Okay.
Because I ended up losing a couple. I lost an 18er right at my net, like a good solid fish,
man.
like right at my net came off, and like that freaked me out quite a bit. Like I'm like, that was my chance because no one else was catching anything, and it was tougher conditions. But
how about crowded? Did you feel crowded at all?
Yeah.
So we had 196 people in this tournament. Again, he finished in 4th out of 196 with tough conditions. That's pretty impressive. So did you feel like?
It was pressure. Because also there was a 20 person bass boat tournament kicking off, and then there was also the other tournament going on as well. That was like 40 some odd kayakers as well. So it was very, very crowded. And I mean, a lot of the guys that was fishing in the same area were awesome. They gave me room. Like they backed away when I was like, hey, I'm in this position, I'm fishing for money. And they were like, cool. When you're coming down this way, I'm going to get out of your way. So that was just big. And they were from different clubs. And that was the nice thing about this type of community was they just understood and, it was amazing.
So that's what I love. That's what I love about kayak fishing, right?
Yep.
Is that even like you said, they don't know you.
Yep.
They're from different states.
Yep.
And yet they recognize where you are and what's going on and the scenario in, and they give you that space,
Yep.
I'll give props to somebody here so when I won AOI, I'm not trying to be about me, but I'm trying to highlight somebody in particular. I was fishing at Trinidad Lake, and I was coming around the point. There's 2 people. I'm coming around one point side, and another guy's coming around this side, right? It's Jim Strawbridge. He gets around, and we're both getting to the same place, the main area we wanted to hit. Jim sees it's me, and Jim, same thing, right? He's like, dude, you're fishing for something I'm not.
Yep.
You have it. Right? So that's what I love that about this community, right? Is that we really do, it's not just about me. It's like, oh, you're fishing for more than me.
Yep.
You have it, right? Not only that, but you were talking about it earlier about communication on the water, just like, hey, you mind if I go around you, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, there are guys out there today. I mean, I've been to one of our tournaments where I've had, a bass boat pull up to me and be like, hey, man, I got waypoints there. I'm clearly fishing that spot. It's a giant bug there. We are outside. They have bugs here. Okay. But yeah, I was fishing a big, or one of our tournaments, and this loaded out bass boat comes up. And I was throwing a drop shot kind of in deeper water, and he's like, I got waypoints there. And I'm like, I do too. What do you want me to do? Clearly. But there's none of that here. We're from where we launched, there were, how many do you think were we
There was
launched?
14 this morning,
14.
11 yesterday.
And 11 yesterday. And there was a guy, we were both kind of heading back to the same kind of cove area or point rather, with some timber there. And he's like, hey, man, my plan is to hit this side. And I said, no worries. I'm going to the other side of the cove, and then I'm hopping across the lake. And he's like, cool, I'll just take from halfway to this point. No issues at all. So, the fact that people are even courteous like that, not just cutting you off,
So I'm glad they gave you that space because, I mean, it helped you, I'm sure, right?
Oh, it absolutely did. And also, I was around, it's Truman. It's a big crappie lake. So there was crappie boats everywhere.
Gosh,
I was running into them, and they were just awesome. I would come up to them and say, you're fishing for crappie. I'm fishing in the bass tournament. Can I go into this little cut and, fish it along the bank, and kind of give them their range? And they're like, yeah, come on in.
Right.
The water's yours. And some of them would just get out of the entire cove and just give it to me. And it was really nice to see. I mean, there were some people that didn't follow that, but the majority of them, there was a lot of really considerate people on the water,
That's
which cool. I wasn't expecting, to be honest with you. So it was refreshing to see.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So tell us, because if I remember right, how many tournaments have you been in? Kayak, any kind of tournament. First off, any kind of kayak, any kind of tournament, and kayak tournaments.
Total. So I started out with the club fishing Last year I fished 3 tournaments last year. I remember I fished Trinidad, Boyd, and Horsetooth, and those were brand new bodies of water for me. And so this was my 4th big, like, well, I showed up to John Martin, but that got canceled because of weather. But this was my 4th tournament,
of any kind.
Of any kind of anything.
Look, he said it's his 4th tournament. Is that coincidence? 4th place.
Hey, don't do it that way.
Yeah, because I'll start getting
No, but I mean that's
Timbers,
that's pretty incredible. You know that's awesome because this is 196 people in this tournament. That's that's hard, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank you. Like,
so what's your plan now? I mean, you got 4 tournaments in. I mean, clearly you got the itch. You have to.
It's something that I wanted to do for a while, was doing tournaments with the club and everything. It just took me, like, I sat around and was kind of a lurker inside the club Facebook for a while and saw everyone doing this. And I kept on saying, I just need to get out there. Right. So, and I thought I needed to practice a whole bunch more and, all of this to make it worthwhile. But it's really about getting out to the lakes. These guys, like, you guys have helped me. You're like, hey, just sharing information, just being helpful. Like this, like, even with Colorado lakes are foreign to me. Like, I'm not used to the visibility we have in Colorado. And so it just was more the club and everyone with it is just awesome.
2 questions. How'd you find the club? And how'd you get started into kayak fishing specifically?
So I found the club because I was like, I want to get into kayak fishing. Because I was watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos and all of that with Greg Blanchard. Really got me into it. Like, watching him and Alex Rudd, those guys really were, like, getting me into kayak fishing, getting that itch. And I just said, like, I started off with a Lifetime kayak from Walmart, like $140 kayak, and was like, I just need to get on the water and experience it. And I got that itch. And a year later, I ended up upgrading to my Topwater PDL and just enjoying it. Like, it's being able to get to that water no one else can, like, not anyone from the bank can get to. And all of that. So
how'd you find the club?
I found the club just honestly looking on Facebook for groups.
Okay.
Like I was just looking and I found you guys, and that's why I worked for a little bit and was trying to get more information, and I asked a whole bunch of questions on Facebook, like how to measure, I started submitting stuff to, hey, how do these look, making sure I'm meeting the the standards for it, just to get used to it and everything. But yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad you're part of our club. You represented the club extremely well. So yeah, congratulations. That's incredible.
I want to see us come back next year and smash it again. Like, we have a lot of good anglers, and I want to see the team do well. Like,
we do, and that's a challenge for us is always. Our reservoirs are different than here.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
I know CKB tries to get other tournaments outside of Colorado to try to prepare us for tournaments like this. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it is challenging. But that's why push yourself always, right? Always push yourself. That's the only way you're going to learn, right? Yeah. And by coming to these things, I know I'm going to places like Gunnersville for me, never been to Grass Lake. I had to force myself to learn, right? And you push yourself and you get better and better every time you go do something else. And then you go home, you can take those home and apply them at home, and maybe change them a little bit, but the techniques are still there, right? You learn them. So
it's cool. You can try things at a lake like this.
Matt was trying to.
I mean, things that don't work, or maybe they do, but like there are things that you just don't throw in Colorado. Put it that way, and then you can try them out here. See people on YouTube all the time. They're like, you throw this all the time and slam them. And you're like, that doesn't work.
So it's a lot of fun traveling. You get to experience something completely different than what you're used to.
Yeah,
we are here.
Cool, man. Congrats. So we're so glad that you represented well for us,
Absolutely.
and we're really happy for you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Congrats, man. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Can we take this inside?
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
Real quick.
Let's go.
We just kind of want to
spook on everybody.
Yeah, see what everybody's up to here and show what what a good time we have
gotta
out here and stuff. So we just
Make
kind
sure
of
I
want
don't
to
unplug the wrong things here. Cool. All right. Let's go for a trip.
let's go for a trip.
Probably R-rated in here, but all right. So we got a fight going on. Not our club guys fighting. Yeah. So, hey everybody. So Sergio, you got his clinic down here. Right on. Say hi, Sawyer.
You missed the thumbs up.
All right. You guys all saw Ronnie. You got Jeremy and Corey in here cooking food. Some Nebraska boys hanging out as well.
You know what he
So
wanted?
that's what we're doing. Yeah. We got fish fry.
Oh yeah.
And if you ever have been around Corey, you know this is a familiar sight. He's happy to be here. And yeah, we got onion rings. We got fish. There's some fish. Boom. So we got basketball in here. It's a good time. So yeah, but this is basically what we've been doing for the last week here. Just hanging out, having a good time, fishing, pre-fishing for the tournament, coming back, relaxing, having fun, sitting at a dock and catching catfish and telling stories, making friends. So it's been a great time. Thanks for watching today, and that's going to do it for us. Alex, anything else?
Nope. Thanks for Matt. I want to say this real quick. Matt, thank you for doing this. The podcast is freaking
Oh, it's fun. It's a blast. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.
That's good.